And tip number 5 is to be friends. What the fuck are the be friends? Have fun. Hi guys. So we thought it timely to do a video on relationships because just the other day we clocked up 17 years together. For those of you who are new to the channel and don't really know our story, we met when we were 10 at primary school. And we sort of, you know...
He liked me.
Yeah. We liked each other.
I used to think Luca was too tall for me. So I would say to myself, oh, maybe one day when I'm older and I grow up a little bit more, we might be the same height. But I didn't want to go out with you, so I thought you were too tall. So
we sort of flirted a little bit with one another through high school years.
We trolled each other.
We did. Yeah.
As we had other boyfriends and girlfriends.
And then on the eve of my 18th birthday, we got together, and we've been together ever since. So we thought we would make a video on relationships, and we'd give our top 5 tips.
So before we go ahead with that, just some credentials. Not only have we been together 17 years, but about 7-8 years ago, we were very close to splitting up, and that's how this whole journey began. We decided to fight for our relationship, decided to fight for our love. So that was an incredible turning point, and that's where it all began. And
ever since then, we've been living and working together 24/7, 365 for 7 years. So I think we're, and in very small places, might I add.
Yes.
As in, you know, small rooms, small accommodation.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying that I think we're qualified to talk about relationships.
All right, so our top 5 tips. Tip number 1, work on yourself. We all come to a relationship with stuff, with baggage. And a lot of people think, when I meet somebody, I'll be happy, I'll be content, I'll be whole. The truth is, 2 halves don't make a whole, and you have to work on your own game before you come together with somebody else.
Sort out your shit, essentially, because the other person's not really going to be able to do it for you. Only you can work on yourself, and ultimately the relationship is probably doomed for failure, like, you know, 1 in 2 relationships are. If you haven't done the self-work.
And if you don't sort out your problems, not only will you bring those problems to the relationship, but you'll leave that relationship and you'll take those problems to the next relationship and the next and the next and the next. And that's why you hear about people having the same kind of failed relationships with the same kind of problems. It's not the partners, it's because they haven't worked on their own stuff first. And I remember the movie Jerry Maguire, you know, the famous line, "You complete me." Oh my God, I loved that. You complete me. But it's bullshit. It's Hollywood bullshit. It doesn't work. And you really need to do your own inner work.
I mean, a more appropriate saying would have been, you know, you lift me up. Sure. But you complete me, really only you can do that yourself. So how do you work on yourself? Well, it's about getting honest with yourself, getting real with yourself, facing your inner demons, if you like. And maybe you might need some help to do that. Maybe you need some kind of therapy. For us, we found hypnotherapy very useful. Others find counseling useful. You might just want to journal and get down all of your thoughts and, you know, deepest, darkest fears, emotions, whatever. Get it out, let it out. Face it, deal with it, and move forward.
I think that's actually a really good thing, is you have to move on. So a lot of people will go to therapy and stay in therapy for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, their whole lives. They never move on. So you have to decide whether you actually want to heal yourself and have a healthy relationship, or if you're just kind of stuck in this, oh, I'm a
victim mentality,
victim.
isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we ended up living in an ashram for 3 months. We just wanted to lock ourselves away from the world and really deal with our own personal stuff. And during that time in the ashram, we were actually celibate for 3 months. We did have 1 room, but separate beds, and we took that very seriously. We didn't hug, we didn't hold hands, we didn't touch each other for 3 months. And that was very challenging because we were dealing with a lot of personal things individually, and it was very hard. Like, there'd be times where I was just bawling my eyes out, crying, really dealing with something very deep in my life. And Luca had to comfort me from a distance. And it was so hard for you. But what happened was I learned how to nurture myself, to comfort myself. Because what if Luca wasn't there for some reason? What if something changed in my life? Would I be okay by myself? And I learned that, yes, I would be okay. And same for your situation, was vice versa.
Absolutely.
So that's, you know, what we did to deal with our shit.
So tip number 2 is to work out the big stuff and don't sweat the small stuff. So by the big stuff, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the big issues that every couple faces. You know, do you want to have children? What are you going to do about finances? Are you going to share the one bank account? Are you going to have separate bank accounts? You know, how's all that going to work?
Families and in-laws.
Exactly. You know, how are you going to relate to those when you come together as a couple? Ethics, you know, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Do you want to live an ethical vegan lifestyle or don't you? You know, and what does the other partner want to do? You know, these are the big things.
And a lot of people don't know the answers to these questions when they first come together. I mean, we certainly didn't know that we weren't going to have kids and go vegan. And that's fine. That's the journey of life, and you're going to grow together and develop and blah, blah, blah. But if you're very sure about something, if you know as a man or a woman that you don't want to have children, or that you're already vegan, or whatever it may be, then you really need to be honest and communicate that with your partner before the relationship sort of gets too serious. And of course, you don't want to do it on night 1 of a date. You know, by the way, you're really nice. Do you want to have kids? Yeah. I'm vegan. You know, that's not going to work. They're going to run the other way. But if you're, you know when it's right. You know when the time is right to discuss the big issues.
Yeah, and don't sweat the small stuff. So, you know, the clothes on the floor that he or she leaves, you know, just the little nitty-gritty stuff. Don't sweat that stuff. And typically that won't be such a problem for you if you've worked out the big stuff. And most often people get upset about the small stuff because the big stuff hasn't been addressed, and that's what's really irking them about the other person, because, you know, oh, your mother said this to me and you didn't defend me, or whatever. Another example of the big stuff is life purpose. Is your partner supportive of your life purpose? That is a huge one that can often, you know, bring couples undone.
If you have goals that you really want to achieve and your partner is just not there to help you out with that, then that's something you've really got to sort out and think about very early on in the relationship.
It doesn't mean they have to share the same life purpose. It does mean, though, that they need to be supportive of your life purpose.
And not hold you back. Yeah. Tip number 3, communicate, be honest, and let it out. You have to talk. You have to communicate. And it's not just nice little small talk rubbish. You have to get real in your communication with your partner. So let it out. We know so many people that are too afraid to fight. I mean, we had a fight trying to work out what the top 5 tips were for this video.
Express yourself.
Don't hold back. Don't hold back.
Communicate clearly.
Absolutely. We hear a lot of blah, 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 blah. What's the real stuff? How are you really feeling? What do you really want to say?
Because that's all that matters at the end of the day, not the small superficial stuff.
No, you talk about that like with your neighbour if you want, but not your partner. You have to be honest. You have to lay your cards out on the table. Make sure they know who you are. And this goes back to point number 1. Make sure you know who you are first.
Know thyself.
So if there is something that's really pissing you off, you need to communicate it, and it's okay to fight. It is okay. Good friends of ours actually split up because they couldn't fight and everything was just festering. Remember, it was awful.
They had so much resentment for each other because, again, they hadn't dealt with the big stuff, and then the small stuff would tick each other off, and it would just
And they would
accumulate.
Like talk to us about it, and we're like, why are you talking to us? No, they would each bitch about the other to us.
Yeah, because they pushed.
Talk to them.
Yeah, they'd swept all of their problems under the carpet, so to speak, and it was just this festering thing of resentment.
So let it out. Don't hold anything in. You know, if you go to bed at night and you're feeling a bit in the tummy, let it out. Talk, and that's going to make you feel a hell of a lot better. It's going to bring you on the same page, because the worst thing is the not knowing. When your partner doesn't actually know what the problem is. Why are you getting cranky? Why are you this? Why are you that? They might not even know what the problem is. So don't be afraid to communicate.
Yeah, just say it. You know, if you can't say it to your chosen partner, who can you say it to?
So tip number 4 is be a team. By this we mean 2 things. Number 1 is play to your strengths, and number 2, have each other's back. And they sort of go hand in hand. So play to your strengths. Luca, for example, is really slow on the computer, okay? He types slow, he works slow, he drives me freaking insane.
This one, on the other hand, is a Duracell battery.
Yeah.
What did that guy at the ashram call you that time?
Dynamic Natasha.
Yeah.
I'm really quick. So I do 99% of the work online, and Luca is doing cooking and house stuff and keeping us fed.
Keeping it all running.
Yeah.
Keeping the show running behind the background.
Now, traditionally, the woman would be doing the cooking and the housework and keeping things running, and the guy would be doing stuff online. But, you know, we've just reversed it because that's where our strengths are.
Rather than to society's stereotypes of what a man or a woman should do, what role they should play. I think you got to drop the ego, and then from a wider level, you've got to forget about what anyone else is saying and do what works for you as a unit, as a team, as a couple.
Exactly.
As
In
a
fact,
partnership.
I remember a family member asked me about a particular smoothie recipe, and I actually said, to be honest, I have no idea. I don't make the smoothies. Luca does. And his jaw dropped. He's like, what do you mean you don't make the smoothies? Luca makes the smoothies. Luca feeds us. I'm working online. So he was really shocked. And this leads into point number 2 of this topic, which is have each other's back, because people are going to criticize. People are going to say you're doing it wrong, or he should be doing this, or she should be doing that. Or
Haters going to hate.
they're going to judge. And really, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or says about your relationship. You have to be on the same page, and you have to not care.
Because they're not the ones living in the relationship.
And there's always going to be someone criticizing, especially family. The families are always going to get involved, the mother-in-laws and...
You can't please all of the people all the time. All that you should ever be worried about is pleasing yourself and your partner.
Exactly. So make it work for you. Be a team, and don't worry about what anybody else outside of your team is saying.
So tip number 5 is to be friends, have fun, and make each other laugh. This is hugely important for the success of a relationship long term. So, you know, we're each other's best friends. You know, we do confide everything in each other. I mean, I wouldn't even call it confiding, because we just share and express and communicate honestly and really all the time. And that's a very wonderful feeling.
Yeah, I think we can get very wrapped up as adults in life and all the serious big stuff, and it gets really heavy. And you just have to remember why you're with this person in the first place, and just have fun. Now, sometimes I think, you know, we act like bloody 15-year-olds or something.
Yeah.
We carry on. We just have fun.
Do things to make each other laugh, you know.
Yeah.
Put a smile
Stupid
on the other
things.
person's style.
Yeah.
Take the piss or take the mickey out of yourself, you know.
Yeah. So that's it, guys. They are our top 5 tips for relationships, and I hope you found something interesting in this.
What are your best tips for relationships? Post them in the comments down below. We would love to hear from you.
So thank you for the last 17 years.
Thank you.
Many more to come.
Yeah.
Aw. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I got you, baby. I got you, baby. I got flowers in the spring. I got you. You wear my ring. Said you're a clown, and if I get scared, know where you are. Let them say your hair's long. I don't care. You are never wrong. Then put your little hand in mine. There ain't no hill or mountain we can't climb. Hey, I got you, baby. I got you, baby.